apropos to the interview that we just did with Jeremy Scahill on his new book, Dirty Wars: The World is a Battlefield. Despite the fact that the interview was almost 50 minutes long, we didn't get the opportunity to talk about any of the type of blowback that is starting to happen in this country. I mean, aside from we spoke with Jeremy about the blowback in some broad terms. But what is fascinating is to see now, despite the fact, and we're going to talk about Rand Paul's supposed drone positions, but what fascinates me on some level, in addition to the fact that we're having Senate hearings on drone strikes now, what fascinates me is this response from Tom Brokaw just the other day on, I believe it was on MSNBC, and it was in response to
It was on Meet the Press.
It was on Meet the Press. Now, understand that when Tom Brokaw is expressing some type of narrative like this, the idea that Tom Brokaw is basically to a narrative what Time Magazine is in some respects. If you see something in Time Magazine, it's probably something that happened 6 months ago, or such a lagging indicator. So what's fascinating to me is Tom Brokaw is on Meet the Press this past weekend, contextualizing, and we don't know much about these bombers as to why they did it. We know at this point that the older brother expressed, had extremist religious and other values. We'll talk about that in a moment. We know the younger brother was supposedly not, and that he has mentioned in interviews, at least it's been leaked, Iraq and Afghanistan. But here's Tom Brokaw, apropos of this conversation about drones, and I think this was stunning that it didn't get more attention because Tom Brokaw is not on the leading edge of criticizing America. This is the guy, this is the greatest generation. This is the guy who's always the first person to say, whoa, 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 whoa. Let's not even go out, never mind on a limb. We should barely climb the tree trunk here.
And I think we also have to examine the use of drones that the United States is involved in. And there are a lot of civilians who are innocently killed in a drone attack in Pakistan, in Afghanistan, and in Iraq. And I can tell you, having spent a lot of time over there, young people will come up to me on the streets and say, we love America, but if you harm one hair on the head of my sister, I will fight you forever. And there is this enormous rage against what they see in that part of the world as a presumptuous of the United States.
He couldn't be more correct here. And it's just stunning that this guy is saying this on Meet the Press. If you followed Tom Brokaw, he's not out on the forefront of these things. And for a while we heard this story of the Pakistanis, they love the drone strikes. The people on the ground are happy to get rid of these people, which is in and of itself sort of patently absurd. There's no way that even if you think there are some bad influences or some bad elements in your town or village, that you really are welcoming the idea that sort of just out of nowhere, out of the sky, boom. You can't possibly feel more secure in wherever you are, knowing knowing firsthand that is that is possible and even probable or likely or whatever. It's quite possible that leadership in Pakistan happy to outsource their drones, and we didn't get into this with Jeremy Scahill, that story that McClatchy had. There was just plenty to talk about, but it's fascinating to see Tom Brokaw espouse that opinion.
In a piece that Eli Clifton and I wrote a couple of months ago on the evolution of drone capacity, actually, but there was this poll from Pew that showed that in 2009 there was 72% support in areas in Pakistan that were impacted by militants for kind of like coordinating with U.S. policy, and that had dropped to 50% for even like humanitarian aid going into those regions, let alone military action.
Well, I think it's one thing when you hear of like 2 towns over, these Taliban were killed. That's great, but then when it comes to your town, you start to realize like, hey, wait a second, careful what you wish for.